Hey everyone, Bowling with the Fef back here at Junior Gold in the trade show, Minneapolis Convention Center, and the guy who swore up and down he was not coming here. You would not see him. He's here.
There's a reason.
That's strange. Would you agree?
I agree. There is a reason, though. See, the benefits of when your son is a pilot for Delta Airlines, if there becomes a standby open flight with open seats, I'm jumping on it because zero cost. And he knows I'm all about money.
That's right. That's right.
Mark Jeffries, Jonathan Beyer, tell me about, now that you're here,
Yeah.
tell me about the objectives, the goals, what makes this a successful trip here?
Yeah, two things. One, I have 3 players that I signed for 2026, and all 3 of them are bowling. So I really got to see that end of their high school career at this event, and I think it's important that I'm here to support what they have going on, at least during the practice sessions, kind of give them, not direction, but just make them feel comfortable. Because in this event, confidence is everything. As it is with what I preach in college bowling. It's all about confidence and building that confidence. So out of respect to them, I thought it was the right thing to do to try and visit with them. The other thing is, I have a very small request, as me and Jonathan have discussed numerous times. I'm here to find 3 players on the men's team for 2027 and 3 players on the women's team from 2027. There are some interesting characteristics on the women's side that is taking place as a result of the 5-year rule on D1. Let's face it, Jonathan and I both agree. You can go into a practice session right now, you can watch their game, that's an NCAA player. You can watch her game, that's probably an NAIA player that doesn't want to leave home. And then you have that gem that Jonathan and I are looking for, that, she might be a 160 to 180 average. She's not getting a whole lot of looks from the D1 schools now with the roster situation and the 5th year coming in. That's going to be an interesting dynamic from a roster standpoint for some of the larger NCAA Division I schools. So we like to find those diamonds. I do not have a booth here. And part of the reason, there's a lot of reasons for that, but the main reason is I didn't know I was coming. It was a last-minute decision because of seats being available on the flight from Oklahoma City to Minneapolis. So I have had the benefit of watching a lot of practice sessions. And there hasn't been a whole lot of coaches. There's been a few kind of trickle in and watch a few people, but most of the coaches that I've seen, they have been watching players that they already have signed. All right? And the talent of the squad that I just came from, I'd say 90% of the players there were NCAA quality. It was insane. Now, that's the only women's program or women's practice session, girls practice session that I've been to, but the talent was enormous in there. And Jonathan and I have a huge challenge in finding that right fit on the women's side. The guys' side, Jonathan, there is an abundance of talent, but it's got to be the right fit. It's got to be the right goals and objectives for both of our programs. And that's part of the reason why Jonathan and I are so close, is the goals, the objectives, the character, really the atmosphere that we want to supply to these student athletes. Very similar, very similar.
And that's what I was going to ask. I don't want to leave you out of this. I felt you're
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Kind of getting lost here, but is each player the same that fits for Southern Nazarene as it does for Dallas Baptist, or are there little nuances, little differences?
I'd say it's very close, and that's why we work together. We talked earlier. We went to the high school national championships together in Columbus, and we were working together, and parents were really confused. Why are these 2 different schools working together? Why are they preaching the same thing? Our programs are just designed very similar. And what that helps us with is, if I have a recruit that we don't have a degree program for that Mark does, I'm sending them his way, and vice versa. So it helps both of our programs. But that also builds trust in the student athletes. We have their best interests in mind. We're trying to find the right home for them. And if we work together, it's just more beneficial. But what Mark's all saying about the character, the fit, it's so close that it makes sense that we work together, because we're able to get to these gems that he's talking about. We're able to talk to more parents faster, have more dialed in conversations, better use of our time, better use of their time. They're busy this week. Junior Gold, there's a lot going on. Some of them have 3 practice sessions today on top of the trade show. So if we can be more impactful in a 5-minute conversation together and get them introduced to both of our programs and what we're about, that's going to be better than them having to spend 10 minutes, 5 with each of us, and maybe get that same information twice, right? It's a better use of their time, better use of ours.
So how much does your proposal for making college bowling better, as you put it, factor into recruiting?
I think it's an advantage. When we tell kids they're going to be able to bowl doubles, singles, and Baker team, and it's going to be school versus school in a college athletic atmosphere where you have a home game or you have a road game, you got fans there, the crowd's going nuts, you have spotlights on one single match where you're going head to head, it gets them fired up because it's not what they're going to see under normal tournament conditions. So I think Jonathan would agree. I think it gives us a little bit of an advantage, and we're really fired up to really kick off the season with the Crown Classic Invitational that's going to take place with 4 schools in the CBAA format, and no entry fee. It is going to be kind of eye-opening for not that anything's going wrong, but just what we've said all along about making the sport better in all capacities, schools, players, coaches, programs. We are fired up and could not give enough praise to Brunswick and Brian Graham for coming on board with this.
And do we know a where and a when?
Yeah, it's September 19th and 20th in Oklahoma City at the newly refurbished Holiday Lanes. We got 16 brand new panels going in August, and the 4 teams are SNU, DBU, Oklahoma Christian, and Muskegon. They're coming all the way from Ohio. Doug and his staff and his players, they're fired up. They really want to get a taste because their plan is to actually have other CBAA competition with schools in their area. And I think Jonathan and I both agree, when the word gets out and they see the actual experience for the student athlete, they're going to want to do it. They're going to want that head-to-head. Now, are there challenges? Absolutely. With the NAIA, I believe it's 14 matches that they can have. You know, Jonathan and I have done research. A lot of programs, they don't get to that 14, but we're hopeful that to fill that 14, hey, schedule a head-to-head match with your rival and see who wins.
You've been on board with this from the start. Since that happened, you've seen him take a men's team to ITCs. What does that tell you about what's going on here with Mark, his program, kind of going into the future with this?
Yeah, and that's another reason we work together. We want the same things for the student athletes. We want them to have the best experience possible, because when they're doing that, they're also performing at their best. They're comfortable, they're confident, they're enjoying what they're doing. I haven't yet to meet a player that's miserable doing what they're doing and finding success doing it, right? Or at least enjoying it. We want these student athletes to enjoy what college athletics can provide. As somebody who also works on the administrative side of that too, that's important. It helps with retention, helps with your university, your team culture, right? So all of that's connected. When we're talking about the recruiting with the CBAA and how all this ties together, Mark is right about the advantage, because as people have come to our booth, since we have one here, parents we've talked to them about it and all their eyebrows raised. Tell me more. How does that benefit the student athlete? We talk about the experience, the exposure, what they're able to do, especially if they want to bowl at the next level, or especially if they're an athlete of another sport, like that competitive mindset, how it fuels that. Oh, they're all in. And we've talked to it, I'm sure, on your show, we've talked to it on ours. When we've had a player or a team do it, within 5 minutes of the end of the match, all right, when's the next one? Like, they're just all in on it. But to wrap up what your question was, I think where all this ties together is that helped his men's team make it to nationals this year.
Did.
Because when their backs were against the wall at sectionals, because they had a not a great start, they were able to claw out of it, probably because of what they experienced in those head-to-head matches where they're down, but they know they're down because they see it on the scoreboard, and they have to dig deep, find some grit, and make it happen. And I think that helped them make it out of sectionals, and that fire and that competitive mindset just bled into what they were able to accomplish at nationals by knocking off some of the best teams in the country.
So in Minnesota, Wisconsin, we're a long way from Oklahoma City. What's your message to the coaches, the players around these parts as this thing evolves?
It's a tough decision, but decisions are made based upon choices. And the choice that lies with the coaches and with the players is, do you want to get a better experience in college bowling with this format? That's what it's all about. I know as a player, as a youth player a long time ago, I loved match play. And when you hear players talk about college bowling right now, they love match play. What we don't have, though, is a scenario that my AD asked me the very first year we had our program. Did you win this weekend? Well, no. Well, who'd you play against? Well, everybody. There were like 35 teams there. And whoa, wait a minute. You didn't bowl against? See, that's not true competition in college sports. And with my collegiate background, my athletic background, with Jonathan's background, we both agree this sport, in order to be better, you need to have that school versus school competition. And we think that we have come up with the best formula to do that, to engage the collegiate athlete, the bowler, to really also, and we haven't talked about this, you're getting them prepared for that next level if they want to pursue either bowling on regionals or maybe bowling the rabbit squads or the PTQs or whatever. You don't get that except one time a year currently. Now, every single time you go head to head, that player is gaining that singles competition experience with 4 round robin games, and if they bowled well enough to be in the showcase match. Well, where else are you going to get that type of environment that makes you better once your 4 years are up? Agree?
Yeah, I'll add something to that. And what I'll add to that is what Mark is saying about making it better. Where can we provide opportunity? I think it's important to remind everybody, we're all here for the student athletes. That's what's important here, not the other coaches, not the programs, not anybody's pocketbook, not big organizations and companies, the student athletes, right? That's what's important. And so I think this does the best job of providing that back to the student athlete in a real way. And like he said, I think the biggest thing is not only does it help them with what they accomplished at postseason last year, but as he's saying, these kids, if they want to continue their bowling career in whatever capacity, they're going to have experience in those different formats.
How disappointing was it all those times when he was telling you on the show he wasn't coming to know now that he lied?
Well, part of that was also my doing because I kept convincing him that he needed to be there in some capacity because, well, we work better when we're in proximity. But yeah, having a son who's a pilot, it pays big dividends. Now, he wouldn't have a hotel room if it weren't for me, so
This is true.
I guess that's an important piece of the conversation as well.
Hey, for a guy like me sleeping on an air mattress, ooh. It was okay. I'm walking. I'm in good shape.
That shows how committed he is to finding those student athletes, okay?
I will do whatever it takes. There was, I'm not going to say the kid's name, but there was a kid. He's very tall. He's 6'8", 6'9". I actually sat there and thought about, man, if he makes a visit, I think he's going to hit the ceiling. Because we've never had a 6'8", 6'9" kid at our center, and the ceiling's kind of low. And his backswing's kind of high. It's like, how much is it going to cost me to get that ceiling raised? I'm that committed right there. See it?
There we go.
That's pretty committed.
It is. It is.
I am that committed.
Wow. Mark Jeffries, Jonathan Beyer.
Hey, I'm not done.
When are we going to see the next Pins on Campus?
Tuesday. We're doing
Tuesday?
it. Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday. Yep.
But I'm not done because the interviewer wants to get questions from the interviewee.
I love it when he does this. Love it.
Mark loves it.
Okay. So my first question is, what are your thoughts about the CBAA?
Why do my thoughts even matter?
I just want to know from somebody that's kind of connected, but still outside. In other words, if
I'm an outsider, that's for sure.
no, listen, if you were a student athlete, would there be excitement of having the opportunity to bowl singles, doubles, and Beyer teams, school versus school? Would that not excite you? Would that not get you fired up?
Listen, when I came out of high school, I was just excited to be in it. Whatever it was. I had to hunt down the people in the program. I had to hunt down a way in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm essentially a walk-on that nobody's ever heard of. And I had to make my way. Just being on the trip was exciting, let alone getting into the lineup, let alone, actually making some noise in Wisconsin for a short bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be down for that?
Hey, by the way, real quick, I know I've said a lot. I got to give major props to this guy. Okay, he's like my son, for crying out loud. I've never had.
It's about that tall.
I know. I've never had a friendship, even during my basketball coaching, that 25 years, where I felt trust, I felt comfortable, I felt that rage in a good way. All right.
Good rage.
And a lot of people don't understand that, but the dedication that he has to his program, but more importantly, the dedication that he has toward the student athlete and making things better for the student athlete, you could not ask for a better person to be by my side, working together to try and accomplish this. And yeah, he's young, and yeah, he's going to make mistakes, and believe me, I've made a ton of mistakes, but I am proud to say that you have the old and you have the new trying to make things better for the student athletes.
Thank you for watching Bowling with the Fef. Pound the like button and subscribe button. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and it's free. Bowling with the Fef is brought to you by Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards.
Bullwinkle's in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, the official bowling center of Bowling with the Fef. Jerry's Score More Pro Shop, the Eau Claire area's leader in bowling products and services since 1988, and Visionary Video Hub, video with impact.
Email bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com with questions or to appear on the show. You can also reach out on your favorite social media platform.